Well, just itching for a good fight. A chance to prove my skills. What about you? How are you feeling? Things will get better. I'm at your side. It's your call. Both sides claim to fight for honor, and they each might even make a fair point. At the end of the day, it's not the cause that matters, but the fighting. Warlords make bold claims to justify their ambitions, but in the end, fighters like us get our prize no matter what. It's through battles that we find honor, and stories worthy of passing down to our descendants. Then you're forsaking your chance to leave a mark on history. But it's understandable. When it comes to beliefs and fanaticism, some would hate to be too involved. There's wisdom in that, but a real fighter should never miss their chance to attain glory in battle. Besides, if we're just there for the fighting, and not those fancy ideals that exist only to fool young men, we're still neutral in a sense. It's most bizarre to me that the guards refused to act further. Even a child could see that the widower had something to do with it, if not outright caused the fire himself. If the guards won't do anything about it, then we should take this matter into our own hands. I can smell the stench of vampires in this town. It cannot be a mere coincidence. Vampires took my mother and left a scar in my soul. I may have slain the monster who did it, but that never gave me the peace I expected. I don't know if finding the vampire in Morthal will give me that peace, but it will comfort me, knowing I've avenged a mother. It was for your efforts that the worst vampire lord of our time was vanquished. But even after all our fights, Serana is still alone. Her family is dead, and she must face this alien world with but a few friends to trust. All this because of a Daedra's curse that has eaten her family inside out. Us, I can agree, but her mother? All I saw in Valerica was an obsessed vampire who used her daughter as her schemes required. I do not know Serana well, but from what I could see, the vampire curse has killed what love existed between them long before we met her. The Daedra's influence always changes how the world reacts to you. First it's a tiny rift, until you and the world's differences become a canyon. Regardless, I could relate to Serana somehow, how a Daedra's power eroded her family. When I first joined the Companions, I still visited my pa often. We would always grieve my ma's memory together, and end the night with 10 empty kegs. But one day I realized I've gotten sick of grieving. My pa would drink to her memory, while the bloodsucker continued his rampage with my ma's blood flowing in those vile veins. It took a while, but I was eventually accepted into the circle and received Hircine's gift. After I drank Skjor's blood, I became more powerful than I ever was. Faster, sharper, stronger. I could tear the vampire apart. When I completed my revenge, I told my pa the news, that the bloodsucker was dead, and I was his killer. My pa never learned how. He might understand, but he'd never approve. My pa is a devotee of Kine. He believes in the balance of nature and how we hunters ought to preserve the order of her wilds. In his mind, Hircine and the werewolves are a disruption to that balance, avatars of needless slaughter to satiate our savage urge. He may not say it, but if I know my pa, just as he knows his daughter, I think he had already guessed what transpired. Since that day, I've seldom returned to his hut, and when I did, we've muttered but a few words to each other. Molag Bal is the lord of brutality, and the way he changed her family reflects that. But Hircine, prince of the hunt, he changed mine in a more simplistic way. There's no agony, no bloody murder. Just a huntress who has to live with the spoils of her hunt. Of course. As a receiver of his gift, I know my patron well. He is the embodiment of the primal urges that run through my veins, the relentless pursuit of the hunt and the thrill of the kill. And Hircine is the master of that hunt. He delights in the thrill of the chase, the clash of predator and prey. To him, the world is a vast hunting ground, and we are his prized hunters. He tests our mettle, pushing us to great heights of skill and ferocity. It is a sprawling, primeval wilderness, untamed and unbound by the petty constraints of the mortal world. The place where we go to after our death. There, the hunt is eternal, the pursuit of prey the sole purpose that drives all who dwell within. Picture a vast forest where the shadows move of their own accord, and beneath the canopy, a thick air carrying the scent of fear. That is the domain of beasts, both hunters and hunted. Noble stags, swarming wolves, massive bears, all are fair game for Hircine's chosen huntsmen. And we werewolves, we are the apex predators of that hunting ground, the masters of this primal symphony. That's a question I doubt will ever be relevant to me. From what I know, a hunter's spirit doesn't simply fade into the void. No, he is reborn, drawn back into Hircine's realm to take up the chase anew. But make no mistake, he is not granted a reprieve. Hircine is a harsh master, delighting in testing the mettle of his chosen champions. When he is reborn, he will find himself facing greater challenges, more cunning and ferocious opponents. Indeed, but unlike the more malevolent Daedric lords, Hircine is not an intrinsically evil or destructive force. He is simply the personification of the hunter's instinct, the savage drive to pursue and conquer prey. To his followers such as I, Hircine represents the purity of that primal connection to the natural world. A hunter cares little for politics and intricate webbings, as it is with Hircine, but as a Daedric lord, alliances and rivalries must be made. For example, Hircine has worked in tandem with Periite, the god of plagues. At times they'd afflict the mortal realm with lycanthropy. Conversely, Mehrunes Dagon, the god of destruction, thirsts for cataclysmic upheaval, but there can be no hunt if there is no life. Whether Hircine is a Daedric prince or some other kind of divine being is of little consequence to me. All that matters is that he has granted me the means to pursue my calling as a huntress to the fullest. His appeal extends beyond just those who have been blessed with the beast blood. There are devout hunters who perform ritualized hunts in his honor, offering the most prized specimens as sacrifices to the huntsman. Then there are the forsworn and the hagravens, who bound themselves to Hircine for power and strike like savage creatures. They may not be the most orthodox of Hircine's followers, but by embracing his primal nature, they've become formidable in their twisted ways. I'd choose my wordings more wisely if I were you. Lycanthropy is no curse, however Codlac and Vilcus might frame it to be. It's a blessing that turned us into true predators. Very well. I see no harm in satiating your curiosity. Legends told of some Breton witches named the Glenmoral Weird, who possessed the secrets of giving and removing the gift of lycanthropy. But their devotion to these secrets is unshakable. Forbidden sorceries are the only means to extract them from the witches' heads. I, for one, am not eager to find out about it. Of course,